It's October and a new Humble Choice arrived, and this month has some rather heavy hitters, so let's get into it. With our first game, Atomic Heart. I will open with saying I'm a big System Shock fan, and this game is very clear with its inspiration from System and BioShock. I have seen some people comparing it to Fallout, but for the hour and 40 minutes I spent playing the game, it didn't invoke those feelings in me. The game has craftable and upgradable weapons and equipment, as well as skill upgrades similar to plasmids from BioShock. I will say combat felt a little clunky and I didn't reach the open world part of the game, but I'm definitely looking forward to playing more. I do think the game's intro overstayed its welcome though. It was basically 40 minutes of set pieces, which, while immersive and beautiful, simply went on too long. Next up we have V Rising, a Diablo-like with base building elements. I will start by saying this game can be played totally single player. You can even set up a private game or turn off PvP so you can play with friends without risk. This game leans quite heavily into its theme of being a vampire. You can drink the blood of your enemies, which switches your blood type based on the being you drank. You also need to avoid the sun's rays, either hiding in your crypt or sticking to the shade. There is of course crafting. In your castle you can construct various manufacturing buildings which will refine materials which can then be used to upgrade your equipment. This is where the game differs from many Diablo-likes, in the sense that you don't loot equipment from enemies, but materials which can then be crafted to make better equipment. Now, as I said, I'm a System Shock fan, so with that in mind, do I recommend the remake? Yes, this remake stays very faithful to the original. That also means it's lacking many modern quality of life features that may put people off. Very sparse autosaves, no aiming down sight, no regenerating health, something Atomic Heart also lacks. With all that said, I think this remake is probably the best way for modern gamers to experience System Shock, unless of course you can stomach playing the Enhanced Edition. One change I feel the remake does better is the cyberspace segments, which are easier to navigate. This remake also adds a recycling system like in Prey, where you can break down items into scrap which can be exchanged for money. The one place I think this remake is flat out worse though is the soundtrack. The remake favours much more ambient tracks versus the original's more bombastic tracks. Stories of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town is another entry in the Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons franchise. Now, I'm not an expert on this genre, and to an outsider like me, the games can feel very formulaic. If you've played one, you often know what to expect from the rest. You start out with a rundown farm and begin clearing the land so you can plant crops and plants, which you can then harvest and sell for money. There is also fishing, animal husbandry, relationships, and eventually marriage. So, if you're interested in a laid-back farming game with some life sim elements, this game may scratch that itch. But if not, I don't think this game does anything groundbreaking that would entice people that aren't already fans of the genre. Next up we have Cryptmaster, a dungeon crawling typing game. You play as a group of undead on a journey with unclear goals, guided and instructed by the enigmatic Cryptmaster. This is the most unique game in this bundle. Everything you do in the game outside of walking is done via typing. You find a chest, you have to type chest to open it, and then guess what's inside by asking the Cryptmaster to describe the item. If you successfully guess the item, you gain the letters in its name, which are then added to your character's next skill unlock. The way skills work is you have to guess what the word is, and then said word becomes a new ability your heroes can use. For example, hit, which when typed causes your warrior to of course hit. The game can also be played with a controller or even voice controls and has both real-time and turn-based modes. Shogun Showdown is a roguelike turn-based strategy game with some deck-building elements. Personally, I would say this game is rather similar to Into the Breach in the sense that it's more of a puzzle game than a strategy or tactics game. Positioning and movement are very important. You can often manipulate your enemies into killing each other or missing their shots. The way the game works is every time you take an action, that being move, attack, or queue up a move, that counts as a turn and the enemy also gets to move. This ends up creating a rather fast and addictive gameplay loop where the game moves as fast as you do. Of course, as I said, this is a roguelike, so every time you die, you return to the beginning, where you can spend skulls from defeating bosses to unlock new moves. There are also new characters to play, which are unlocked by achieving certain objectives. All in all, a really fun game, and I enjoyed playing it a lot. Here we have Hotel Renovator, a game about renovating and running, you guessed it, a hotel. I would say this game is quite similar to games like House Flipper or Train Station Renovator. I'm not a big fan of these sorts of games, and I'm not very creative, so my first room ended up looking like this. At least it has high quality entertainment. I can definitely see the appeal if you're a creative person, being able to do up a room and then rent it out, receiving rent which you then invest into doing up more rooms, especially when you start to get different clients who want rooms in different styles. I will say though, if the gameplay you are seeing isn't interesting you should steer clear. This is a game of tedious activities like painting and sweeping, and I really doubt the gameplay gets better or any different from how it starts. For our final game we have Caravan SandWitch, a walking/driving sim about searching for your missing sister on a largely abandoned and desolate planet. Unfortunately, I found this game rather dull. Despite the driving being one of the core mechanics, it felt very simple and only served to transport you from place to place. That being, I spent far more time talking to people and parkouring than I spent driving, and when I was driving, I had to get out every 2 feet to interact with something or explore a location. There also aren't any puzzles or fail states. You can't even die from full damage. You just move around a rather desolate wasteland looking for items that you need to progress the plot, making it more of a scavenger hunt or fetch quest than anything else. Personally, this game wasn't for me. I'm not usually into cozy games at the best of times, but the focus on fetch quests and backtracking really killed the experience here for me, and made the driving feel like it was just there to pad out the length. Also, no fast travel, which exacerbates the problem. For my final thoughts, I think this is a rather strong month. I really want to play more of Atomic Heart, System Shock, Cryptmaster, and may even convince some people to play V Rising with me. I also want to play more of Shogun Showdown just because I found the game very addictive. But the 3 games that didn't do it for me are Hotel Renovator, Caravan SandWitch, and Story of Seasons Pioneer of Olivetown. Mainly because they aren't my sort of games, and what I played of them didn't convert me or make me want to play more. With all that said, I do think this bundle is lacking on the horror front for a Halloween bundle. I suppose System Shock or Atomic Heart have a horror atmosphere, but I wouldn't call them horror games, and V Rising is more of a you are the horror sort of thing. So as I said, a missed opportunity in my view. I do think this bundle is a miss if you aren't into first-person games, as 4 of the 8 games this month are first-person. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on this month's bundle? I definitely think it's a lot better than last month, but I would love to hear your thoughts. For my next video, I want to talk about a relatively unknown zombie tactics game, so thank you again for watching and see you then.